Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner and let's talk Granblue. We finally got a good bulk of the Granblue cards in Champions of the Asia Circuit revealed. At the very least, all the foils have been revealed, and we're just really waiting on some commons and rares, which I'm hoping that we'll get at least one or two more good ones for commons and rares, like Commodore Blue Blood. Hopefully he'll have a decent skill. Although looking at how these cards have been so far, I think I'm pretty safe to assume that he will get something decent because Granblue has been pretty solid coming out of the set. Now, I don't think they're as good as Dimension Police, as that deck has just a little more oomph to it. Great Dayusha in particular is really good, and if people think the card's terrible, what the fuck are you smoking? I mean, yes, it's not broken for the sake of premium, but these cards are being designed with standard in mind, and premium is an afterthought. And if you're looking at them for the purpose of how good they are with premium, you're just going to be disappointed time and time again. And I think it's going to continue to be this way with in the foreseeable future with later sets. So that being said, let's break down the cards that have been revealed so far, and if there are any like particular other cards that come out after this video, I might make a video on them. But I think most of the main playmakers have been shown so far. So the basic idea of Granblue out of this set is that you want to get to 10 cards in the drop zone pretty quickly, as we have a lot of good bonus effects that are unlocked with a bigger drop zone. I guess the aesthetic is that more pirates are joining the crew as you put more cards into drop, and therefore it's yeah, just a big party or something. But in any case, this works as through milling, guarding, retiring, or just even soul blasting, you can get 10 cards for just simply playing the game. And we have the advantage of if our cards get killed, we can bring them back, which makes it effective against retire clans such as Kagero and Tachikaze, which at the time of this video being recorded, the format is looking to be like post-destructive war. Tier 1 is Kagero, Oracle Think Tank, Tachikaze, and Spike Brothers. Tier 2 is Royal Paladin, Mega Colony, and Tier Who Gives a Shit is Nova Grappler. And based on how this set is looking, Granblue will be Tier 1 or Tier 1.5, I guess to some people, but I think they have a chance of being Tier 1. Dimension Police will definitely be Tier 1, and Aqua Force will be Tier 2. Granblue, for a Protect clan, doesn't have that oomph finisher that Mega Colony and Oracle Think Tank do in the form of Deer or Armored Beetle, but instead, this deck's idea is it just wants to constantly pressure your opponent with big columns that are not as big as a Deer turn, but they're still pretty reasonable for just turn-by-turn pressure. Like, think of it like Spike Brothers, but with the ability to get more perfect guards. I don't think we can get as big of numbers as Spike Brothers, but we can still like get like to the point where your opponent will have to throw down more than just a crit trigger to block our lanes. Yeah, I think so. So that being said, let's dive right into this, shall we? So our first card is King of Demonic Seas, Baskirk, the VR of the set, and he has two good skills. First, Vanguard Circle. During your turn, if you have 10 or more cards in the drop zone, he gets +5 and a crit. Okay, he's going to be 17 with a crit for literally playing the game. Yeah, okay. And act, Vanguard Circle, once per turn, count +1, Soul Blast 1. Call a card from your drops on the rear guard, and he gets power +5,000 for each grade of the called unit. Okay. Oh, until end of turn. Oh, so yeah, +5k per grade. So if you call a grade 1, he gets +5. Grade 2, +10. Grade 3, 15. I like how he basically gets as big as Dragonic Waterfall and Imperial Daughter, but doesn't require you to have grade 3s in Soul in order to do that. And much like Daughter, he also gets you a card. Although Daughter gets you a card from hand, he just puts something on the board, but in exchange, he gets bigger than Daughter. Like, if you get maximum value here, so he's got the 5 and a crit, and you call a grade 3 from drop, and there's a good grade 3 worth calling from drop, he'll be 32k with a crit and no booster. 40k with an 8k booster, or maybe even more because some of our boosters get pretty large. So that's pretty good. Like, I am okay with this guy. He is just a constant big center lane with a crit, so your opponent will have to respect it, otherwise you might flip a crit and they die. Baskirk's great. And then our triple rare, one of our two triple rares for the set is Ruin Shade. Pretty certain I called this one too. Like, I don't know where people thought like Captain Night Mist would be a triple rare and origin rare, as he's just not as iconic as Ruin Shade is. Night Mist would go on to do good things in the form of 7 Seas, but as far as just generic Granblue cards go, there's really Cocytus, Ruin Shade, and Baskark, and Cocytus doesn't look like he's in the set. So we have Ruin Shade here, who will probably get the Origin Rare, and she's pretty similar to the original car. So 9K on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when it attacks a Vanguard, you can mill 2 cards to have it get power plus 4K until the battle. Hits for 13, which is just enough to tie with a Force Vanguard. And then during your turn, Rearguard Circle, if you have 10 more cards in drop, plus 4,000 power. So if you add these 2 skills together, it swings for 17 on Rearguard, which unfortunately is not enough to break the 18K threshold needed to force more than a 5K shield out of a force line. But another way of looking at it is that she will be always able to swing for 13K, which is enough to hit a Force Vanguard unboosted. And if you're able to put a reasonably big booster behind her, she can hit for more than that. So the idea here is you attack with Ruin Shade, build up your drop, and then once you're done, you can just have her be a 13K beat stick. So it's just a beater, but it requires no counterblast, no soul blast, and it'll look pretty decent as a tripler. I'm hoping that they'll give us the, I want to say the what, Ruby Labyrinth foiling, because I looked at some the triple rares for V set 1. I feel like don't look as good because they're the set 11, set 12 foils. That's a different discussion all entirely. So Ruin Shade's good. I'll be a 4 of. Then our last triple rare is Dandy Guy Romario, who is the equivalent of Circle Magus for Oracle Think Tank. So continuous rearguard. If you have 10 or more cards in the drop zone, power plus 4,000. So he's a 12K booster or a 12K attacker, and because it's Granblue, you can bring him back if need be. Also, when rode upon, cost counterblast 1, put a card from your hand to your soul, mill 3 cards, and then put a card from your drop zone into the hand. So unfortunately, he's not a straight +1 like that of Circle Magus, but she's a random draw, whereas this guy is more or less filter. Like you build up soul, which is good for Baskark, and you can get whatever you mill off the top 3, which could be a lot of things. Like I don't know how many times Pot of Duality has let me he is basically a Pot of Duality in a sense, except no like stupid restrictions. Being able to look at the top 3 and grab any card you want from among them was always a really nice thing to have, and this guy does so, but also setting up your win con. Like, you could potentially unbrick your hand by just how he mills. Now, granted, you're relying on random milling, but Granblue's always been that way. But I'm willing to bet there will be at least 1 or more occasions in which I'm missing a grade that would otherwise completely fuck me over, but Romario mills me what I need. And you can use him to set cards you want to get soul blasted out later too. So yeah, I'm liking this guy. All right, so moving on to the double rare cards, we have Dragon Undead Skull Dragon, which is intended to be our backup grade 3 with the gift and the other 4 of. As a Vanguard, it's okay. As a Rearguard, though, it is phenomenal. So first skill is, while it's in the hand, you cannot normal call it, so we have to get into the drop zone by other means, such as Perfect Guard discard, Soul Blasting it for Baskark, or just random milling. But it is worth it, though, because on Vanguard or Rearguard, during your turn, he gets plus 2k for every card in the drop zone, and then on Rearguard Circle, at the end of the battle that attacked, kill it. So that kind of sucks that he dies when he attacks, but truth be told, I think it's intended that you just bring it back with Baskark so that he gets the plus 15k alongside his own skills, so he's swinging for 32 with a crit, which is pretty decent. And yeah, this guy is basically a power creeped version of zombie whale dwelling the ocean depths. As you can more or less look at him as a unit with hollow, it just cannot be normal called. But yeah, he's straight up a better whale, and I think Night Rose will play this as a one of, maybe more than that. Like I think of all the gift grade 3s that Night Rose could play, this is probably going to be the one that does it the most, because Baskark is good, but I do not know how well he would mesh with Night Rose, since I think still a good amount of that deck's going to be Gem Break restricted, but I could be wrong. So yeah. Oops, let's get back. So yeah, Under Dragon will be a 4 of. And then our last double, no wait, we have another double rare, but it's just the perfect guard here. So there's your perfect guard. It's Gus Jin. Moving on. So our last perfect guard, I mean, our last double rare is Captain Night Mist, who has a really good reach range, truth be told. Like, one placed on rear guard, Cannabis 1, call a grade 1 or less card from the drop zone to rear guard circle. If you have 10 or more cards in your drop zone, you can call any grade instead. He is a Negro Lazy, but instead of getting plus 2 cancel in a turn, he doesn't Soul Blast or get hollowed or countercharge when he dies. But yeah, like, think of all the shit you could do with Negro Lazy and Nitros, and you could apply some of that to here. Now, granted, standard Granblue doesn't have any way of calling in battle phase. However, the fact of the matter is, you could do things like Baskirk calls this, and then if you have 10 or more cards in drop zone, he can call Undead Dragon instead, and then Baskirk gets plus 10, so he's 27 with a crit, which is the same number as Imperial Daughter, and then this guy just gets big in his own right. So for Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1, you can call a front row, and that's pretty nice. And the fact of the matter is, this is usable in Premium to an extent too, because it's a Negro Lazy, so you can do things like Negro Lazy calls this, and then this can be used to call Negro Lazy. So really, you can go Nightstorm calls this calls Negro Lazy calls Nightstorm. Okay, that's neat. Like, not, no, Negro Lazy can't call Nightstorm. Oh god, there's got to be some way you can do that. Like Nightstorm calls Negro Lazy calls this guy calls Nightstorm. Right? Maybe, I don't know. Like, the important thing here is this card is actually usable in the premium deck, so that's pretty nice and is good. Like, this is a 4 of as well. So then moving on to the commons we have and rares, we have first an original unit, which is Witch Doctor of Decay, Negro Breach, who on Vanguard Rearguard Circle during your turn, if you have 10 or more cards in drop zone, plus 10k. So it doesn't get as big as Undead Dragon. However, in exchange, you can actually normal call it. He has the Protect gift, so this is likely intended to be your backup grade 3. Most Protect decks play 9 to 10 grade 3s with 4 of your main one, 4 of your other guy, and then lastly, 2 copies of your third stringer, and this is what this guy is. So he is the equivalent of the deer and the, I don't know what its name, but there's like another grade 3 to get played Mega Colony. Obviously, he's not as good as deer. However, he still has some utility. So he is a beat stick, and also in the drop zone, you can counterblast 2, call his card to rear guard. So he just spawns, which is nice. However, if your Vanguard is grade 2 or greater and you did not place it during this turn, you can ride this guy instead of calling it at stand. So if, God help you, you're unable to ride to 3 and you somehow have this in drop zone through milling or just unfortunate damage rolls, you can Counterblast 2, ride this guy, and get a gift. Or if you're up against a deck and you need the PG for the turn, but you weren't able to re-ride Baskirk or Undead Dragon, you can ride this guy on Vanguard instead, so that when they come at you with Great Die Kaiser, you at least have something. So it's not the best card out there, but it's also not shit. Like, it's a good utility card, and the last thing I heard, options were always nice to have. Now, another original unit is Painful Bullet, hang on, let's read the phonetic version. Naito Giberu. Giru? I don't know. In any case, he's a common grade 1 with AK, and its skill is when it's placed on rearguard, mill the top card of your deck. If you have 10 or more cards in your drop zone, this gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. So I was initially not very sold on this card because it only does something the turn you call it, but now that I think about it, it's more or less of a Farfell Magus in the sense that sort of manipulate your deck, but it just kind of sits there afterwards. However, this has the added bonus of it gets really big if you're able to call it off of the effect of Baskirk, and it's just an 18 attacker or an 18 booster that also mills the deck 1. So it helps you accelerate your drop zone, and then if you need to, you can always just slam it down and just have it be a big beat stick for a turn. So, not bad. I think this will be a 4 of in the deck. We're looking at 4 Romario, 4 of this, and I think I know what the other cards in here are going to be. And I'm not sure if it's this one, Evil Shade. So, This is a rare grade 1, and its skill is once per turn, count plus 1, and bind a card from your drop zone. Call a card with the same name as the card bound from your to rear guard. So my issue with Evil Shade is that he takes away from your drop zone toolbox by binding named cards. Like if you want to call a good unit, you have to give up another copy of that unit. So first off, you need 2 cards with the same name in drop zone, and you have to give up one of them for good to bring it out. I mean, yes, it is a +1, but I don't know, like it's effectively permanently negging your drop zone, and sometimes you might not be able to just get there. Like I don't know, it's really hard to describe, but I'm just not a fan of Evil Shade and how it just fucks up with your drop zone for what it does. Like I feel like you can pass this card, and I would not bat an eye to it. Then we have Dancing Cutlass. So I thought this was just going to be a clone of Luckbird, but instead they went with a different route, which is while it's in the drop zone, you can bind another copy of itself and mill the top card of your deck to call this to rearguard circle and countercharge one. So take what I said about Evil Shade and more or less just negate the fact that it takes away from the drop zone by 1 because it replaces the card you're losing with a card from the top of your deck. And granted, it's a random mill, but the important thing is, though, it more or less maintains your second hand, and it also gives you a body, and it gives you a countercharge. And countercharging is just a really nice tool to have, especially given how counterblast management is such an important part of V Series Vanguard. So having a countercharger is nice. Like I think this will be a 2 to 3 of, much like the Gemini Elf is in Oracle Think Tank. And I'm just trying to think of how this deck is going to look, because like we're looking at 10 grade 3s, maybe 10 grade 2s, 12 grade 2s at the most, and then 4 Mario, 4 Night Rieger, and 2 to 3 Dancing Cutlass. I'm trying to think of what other spaces in there. It's really hard trying to imagine how the abilities are, because I'm so used to going Perfect Guard and Stride Fodder. But now that the Perfect Cards are draw triggers and we don't play Stride Fodders anymore, I suddenly have 8 more cards to work with in grade 1. I was like, what the hell? What do I do with these options? So, yeah, I'm trying to think, because Oracle Think Tank has Circle Magus and Farfell Magus, and it also it plays Luckbird, and it plays the whatchamacallit. It plays like the elf. So yeah, I guess I want to put in like maybe I'll put in one of these things. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping we get one more grade 1, but I think if we do, it's going to be a generic Perfect Guard. But that's all I got to say about these cards. Comment down below on your thoughts regarding Granblue. Am I maybe missing something? Am I being too harsh on Evil Shade, and it's actually better than I'm giving it credit for? Are there any cards that have things that I might have missed? And which one of these things do you think will work best in premium with Night Rose, and how much do you think Night Rose will benefit for having some of these cards come in? For Mario might not be bad. I'm trying to think on this. Like I don't know how I'm gonna approach building that deck, especially if I end up dropping the Perfect Guards. But I don't know if I want to. Oops, I hit the microphone. Sorry about that. But in any case, yeah, this is my initial thoughts on the first batch of cards for Granblue. And again, if there's like any like outstandingly crazy card that gets revealed after this video goes up, then I might make something about it, or I could comment about it elsewhere. But that's all I got to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll link in the description is a link to my blog where I posted a review of last week's episode of Vanguard V, and yeah, just continually check that out. This upcoming episode is going to be Goki versus Kamui, so we get to see probably the rest of Granblue in action, and maybe we'll get some ideas of what these cards will do. I'm half expecting them to be revealed on stream as well, or at least we'll get the rest of them in a stream fight. But thank you all for watching. Until next time, this is BlueStar89, checking out.